All right. Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Racers News Network Live. Um, got a lot of little things to talk about tonight, and I'm going to lead off with this that I unfortunately just saw. Bear with me for just 1 second. It was announced about half an hour ago that unfortunately race car builder Mark Rowe, you know who Mark Rowe is, right, Pete?
Yeah.
He passed away today. Um, I literally just saw this when I was getting things set up. So Mark Rowe's been building race cars for a very long time.
Yeah. Yes.
I think he built damn near everything too, every style of car too, didn't he?
Yeah. Was he a big super stock builder? I think.
I think did he did do it. I'm not 100% sure like if that was what his main focus was,
Yeah.
or if it was a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So, but I literally just saw that he passed away.
How old
Uh,
did it say?
It did not say. I'm sure as more information becomes available,
Right.
because it was Tom Pickett um, that made the announcement on Facebook.
Gotcha.
So,
Bummer.
yep, get older, they said it'd be fun. Yeah, it
Yeah.
sucks. So, what's going on, my friend?
Same old stuff. Just work and trying to get the race car ready and all that good stuff.
Nice. Now, like I said, we got a bunch of little things to talk about tonight. But one of the other things that I originally planned on leading off with was you basically started your own YouTube channel
Yeah.
um, for school stuff. For those that don't know, Pete is an automotive teacher in Connecticut, and shop and your personal builds and stuff
Yep.
like that.
Yep.
So, why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So, it was weird. My wife and I were down in Florida a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, something like that. And I recently purchased an S10 that I wanted to make a drag and drive car. Me and my son, that's something we've always wanted to do. And I have a really good friend of mine that wants to get involved with it. And I also want to do some fast small tire stuff like at the, Scotty Wheels race or whatever. Um, so I sold the dragster, as you know, and had some money to play with to buy an S10, which is something that I've always loved. I've always wanted. I love Taylor's truck. I think it looks awesome. So then I thought, I was on YouTube. I am like a YouTube fanatic now. I hardly even watch regular TV anymore. It's just like, you ever flip through regular TV and it's like, oh my God, I can't find anything to watch. That
I
can't,
honestly could say I don't remember the last time I watched normal TV.
right, right. I mean, it's always weird because I remember like before YouTube got real popular for me, it's always like, how do you have like 800 channels and you can't find anything to watch?
Right.
And that just does not happen on YouTube. It's like literally, if you want to watch a video on grass growing, you could literally find a video on grass growing. It doesn't, whatever you want. Um, so I wanted to find some videos on, building an S10 small tire, suspension, stuff like that. And I couldn't really find anything that is building what I want to build. Excuse me. So I said, well, I wonder what would happen if I just did a YouTube channel, and just like did the build, from going to pick it up to loading it up on the trailer to, taking the engine and transmission out of it. This is what I'm going to do for a drivetrain, rear end, suspension, blah blah blah. And then I thought to myself, well, I'm going to take the truck up to school to let the freshmen remove the engine and transmission, because that's part of their curriculum, is removing and reinstalling or just removing some drivetrain parts. The problem is we run out of cars to do it on. So I actually bought two. I bought one that was a $400 junk just strictly for parts. And then I bought the one that we're actually going to build. So I have two that we're going to take the drivetrain out of. And then I thought, well, I'm going to film that. And then I don't know anything about editing. I know very little about recording. Anyone who watched the first episode that I launched last week will see I don't know anything about standing in front of a freaking camera either. So I'm like, well, the kids will help me. Then I just, like, my wife and I were talking, and it's like, well, what about, filming some stuff that you do with the kids? And how about like when you do the .90 racing and all the computer stuff that you're figuring, and the race car stuff and all that stuff and stuff you do at your shop? And I'm like, we might be able to make a little something out of this. And when I was talking to administration at the school, because I wanted to get their approval and everything for it,
Right.
and they're like, well, what do you hope to gain out of this? I said, well, just exposure. Everything that is on my channel that involves the kids and what they're doing also gets posted on the state of Connecticut. They call it the CTEC website, through the social media person in our school.
Right.
And you got to do that for, because you can't just be randomly throwing kids on YouTube and all that stuff. So it all goes through them first, make sure all the content's good and everything. And I told him, I said, you know what I would love? I said, I would love for it to get big enough where, Snap-on sees that we're gaining some traction and getting some views, and they want to throw some equipment at us. Or Hunter, because we have like a Hunter tire machine, Hunter alignment rack, stuff like that. I said,
Right.
they see something like that and want to throw some equipment at us, or the state schools in general, or people that don't really know exactly what it is we do in these schools, and just exposure. I just want to gain exposure. I don't for a second think that I'm going to go viral and be getting big checks from YouTube or anything like that. But Chris, when I tell you the amount of fun that these kids are having, videoing, editing, being in it, it's just, they are having a friggin' blast. And that, if nothing else comes of it, the amount of fun that they're having while they're learning, it's like, all right, I'm going to film, we have a valve adjustment to do on this Honda, and we're going to set the camera up in video. And the next thing you know, you got like 17 kids that want to adjust valves.
Right.
Whereas if the camera wasn't there or we weren't doing something, you'd have like the same three that volunteer,
Right. Right.
So it's just another thing to get them involved. Make them feel like they're a part of something else besides just the automotive program, and everybody seems to love it. So I've got the second episode will probably be ready on Thursday. We did a lot of videoing today because we went on a field trip. And I mean, even like one of my students sat down with the video that went out last Friday, and she sat down on Monday and she's like, all right, we got to do a TikTok. You got to do an intro for a TikTok, and you got to put hashtags here, and you got to do this, and you got to do that. I mean, they're just like totally into it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun. And I'll be honest with you, it's not that I lost the love for doing what it is I'm doing, because I love it, but it's kind of like lit an even bigger fire that, maybe something that I'm doing, if someone watches it, they might learn something from it. like on that last video, the little hole saw trick that I showed for making a bigger hole
Right.
when you already have a hole.
Right.
Or better yet, when if someone that's, you know, better at doing this stuff than me, which is pretty much everybody, sees what I'm doing and they could give me advice to do what I'm doing better, either
Right.
teaching or the video end of it or whatever. So
Right.
I can't see a negative side to it at all. Literally, as we're talking, I don't know if I could get this on camera or not, or how it's going to appear, but you'll crack up if you could see it. It says, yeah, see, this is going to be the camera thing.
Oh, it's gonna do. Yeah, it's gonna cut
Yeah,
in and out.
but I literally just got a message. See the bottom? The
Something
cap.
about we're at X number of subscribers.
Yeah,
100 subscribers and 414 views.
yeah. So
That's
it's like
awesome.
I've got kids actually messaging me saying, "Holy shit, we almost got 100 subscribers," you know? So it's just it's a lot of fun, and like I said, it's a still learning, still doing everything that we're supposed to do, but we found a little bit funner of a way to do it. And at the end of the day, if we wind up getting some exposure over it so that people can see what we do in the system, maybe we'll get some equipment out of it. Yeah, maybe we'll just get a superintendent that calls and says, "Hey, what you're doing is awesome."
Right.
Even if we get nothing, the fact that the kids are still learning and we're having a great time, I don't see a downside to it in any way. So we're having some fun.
You get
And
manufacturers or suppliers behind you. You know, you can show them. I'm doing. Look, I'll just use torque wrench for
yeah,
example.
yeah,
All right, we're torquing down these wheels. We're using this Snap-on model 457
sure,
snap.
yeah,
Uh, torque wrench.
yeah.
And how
And then
if
maybe
it's digital or if
yeah,
it's
maybe
dial.
Snap on sees it and says, "Hey, we love what you're doing. We're going to give you the newest version of that torque wrench or something, so it could be in your next
Right.
video." Yeah, I mean
Right.
anything like that. So a little preview of what the next video is going to be. We went to a place called Express Diagnostics, which does all the ADAS stuff, which is blind spot monitoring, adaptive cruise control, autonomous driving, all that stuff. They calibrate all the sensors and everything. And the people running this is a nationwide franchise, but they're independently owned. And the people that are running the one in Waterbury, which is where the school is,
Yeah.
they both graduated from the Caner Tech automotive program. So they
Very
came
cool.
in about a month ago and they told us that they were interested in hiring some kids for work-based learning. So one thing led to another. And the next thing you know, we're doing a field trip to their place, which ironically is like, it probably took us longer to get on the bus than it did to drive there. It's like right around the corner from the school.
Right.
But we filmed that whole thing, had a ball, and very informative. And you know, maybe someone will watch the video and say, "Oh God, I didn't realize that work-based learning was a thing." And you know, they'll call the school and say, "Hey, how can we get in to give our spiel to the kids and get some kids going?" And you know, if one kid winds up in the field, or somehow we get just a little bit more exposure out of what we do, all the effort is well worth it. So it's pretty cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, and you're involved with your kids working in other places. I remember maybe not last year before you had kids at Sikorsky as well.
That is correct. We had so outside of the normal car places, we have a couple of kids in DOT for the state of
Okay.
Connecticut.
Yeah.
We managed to put anywhere from 1 to 3 kids at Sikorsky per year. And we have a couple of kids that went to Metro North, the railroad
Oh,
company.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah. and then tons of local dealerships and local garages and stuff like that. But yeah, it's not strictly just auto repair. And ironically, one of the things that I always say during exploratory, when all the freshmen go through all the shops, is you got to try and get rid of that image that automotive has, because I can't tell you how many kids have come up to me after going through the shop for exploratory and said, I really love it here. I want to do this, but my parents say that mechanics don't make good money, and they're always greasy and dirty, and it's a dirty job and all that stuff. And
Right. There's a stigma to it.
yeah, exactly. We
Yeah.
were always the knuckle draggers that instead of going to school, we had a chain fall around a branch of a tree and we were yanking a motor out of our car to make it loud and obnoxious. That's
Right.
image. One of the things I say during exploratory is, just because you work in the automotive field doesn't mean you have to go home with grease under your nails every day. And I always say that to every group that comes through. And when we went to this demo, this field trip, halfway through, I stopped everyone and I said, "Hey guys, these are my seniors." I said, "Do you remember what I told you during exploratory?" And at least half a dozen kids raised their hands and they said, "Yep, we could do something without getting grease under our fingernails every day." And this was the perfect example, because they're working with computers and calibrating stuff, and they're not getting dirty.
Right.
So yeah, it's like I said, it's exposure. And again, even if a couple of parents watch some of these videos and say, "Wow, this is what the automotive program's about," that's nothing like what I thought. If my kid
Right.
says they want to go through automotive now, I'm more informed about it. And we involve a lot of other shops too, as you know. In the last video, we involved auto body. But when we have something that needs to be made, we go down to Precision Machine and they make something for us if they can. We borrowed those hole saws that I borrowed, came from electrical, which
Okay.
I didn't give them a plug on the video. I should have, but we're definitely all working together. And not only that, but a couple of shops found out that I was doing this. Some of them came in and watched, and now they want to do it with their shops. So I'm not just being automotive greedy. I'm hoping that it takes off for every shop, and they all do it, and they all gain exposure, and the whole system gains exposure, and should be pretty cool.
That's awesome. Now, I know we've talked about your program 100 times at
Yep.
least. Do you are you guys like a regional thing where other schools bus students in, or is it just for your
You got it.
program,
Nope.
your
So
school?
we have in the state of Connecticut, we have 18 technical schools, just like the one I'm at.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, we have 2 aviation schools. And I didn't even know about the aviation schools until I joined the system. But basically, we have about 1,000 applicants every year for freshmen, and we can only take 225, I believe the number is. I think we pull from 4 towns, including the one that we're in.
Okay.
And same thing, like we have by my shop in Hamden, we have Eli Whitney, and they draw from New Haven, they draw from Hamden, they draw from West Haven. So obviously there's a lot more than 18 high schools in the state.
Right.
So we do draw, like, I'll give you a perfect example. If someone comes to Caner Tech and they decide that it's not for them and they're going to go back to their high school, they could go back to any one of 4 high schools. So that will give you an idea of how big the region is that we pull from.
Okay. All right.
So
Cool.
yeah, it's an awesome program, and I'm shocked that more people don't know about it. But again, if this helps gain some exposure so people could see what we're doing, it's just another added benefit of doing it.
Absolutely. Frank Volpe is tuning in. He said trades, and I will agree with him. trades are the best and it keeps the world going.
So I will tell you that I would imagine 20 years ago, a lot of shop teachers were probably worried about losing their jobs. We saw a lot of, like, when I was in high school, we saw a lot of the programs dwindling down. The push to send kids to college was astronomical. I'm going to say maybe from, I don't know, I would say, 1990 to maybe 2005, 2010. And then it really started to swing back the other way. And
Right.
the thought of sending a kid to a technical school, maybe going to a couple of years of post grad in whatever field you picked, and getting a six-figure or damn close to six-figure job without any student loans, all of a sudden started looking a lot more appealing than being 250 to $500,000 in debt and going and getting a job that you're probably not making much more than the kids coming out of the trade schools.
Yep.
So it really, really, I'd say in the last 10 years, we've seen a humongous swing back to, I'll call it reality. And listen, I don't have a problem with kids going to college. I have probably three or four of my best students that are going to college for physical therapy, some kind of engineering, and that's fine. I will support them just as much as someone going out in the field. But when we had the big college push, the interest in going to a tech school was not very high. So
Yeah.
it's definitely, we've seen a swing, and I think that it's going to stay like this for a very long time.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I can use my wife as a perfect example. She has her master's in education,
Yep.
and the all the amount of loans that she has, we're going to be passing those off to Elijah when we
Right.
both pass away,
Right.
and he'll have to keep paying on them. I mean, she's probably in the neighborhood of 200 grand.
Yeah. I mean, my wife has her master's in nursing,
Yeah.
and her parents supported her for the first 4 years of her education. They paid for it, and they told her, after that, you're on your own. And when we met, she had close to $100,000 in student debt loans. And
Yeah.
don't forget, me and my wife haven't been married for 30 years.
Right.
We're going on 14 years. So, we'll call her, we'll round it down to 50. So at 35, 38 years old, she still had $100,000 worth of student loans.
Oh yeah.
That's rough. That's a lot of
Yeah.
money. And
Oh yeah.
let's face it, college is a hell of a lot more expensive now than it was 20 years ago.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the cool thing is you using right here and now as an example. Um, a lot, if not most dealerships will sponsor your college too.
Well, see, that's again one of the things I say during exploratory is you go to work for a dealership, and I'll just use round numbers for the sake of saying it, right? You're making $25 an hour. You get there on time. When you're in between jobs, you grab a broom or empty a trash pail. You show that you want to be there. You keep yourself clean and neat. They're immediately going to take a liking to that. All right. They're going to want to send you to school to further your education, learning the newest equipment that's coming out for all the automotive craziness that's happening.
Right.
They're going to pay you to go to school. They're going to pay for your school. And then when you learn something that they paid you to learn, you're going to come back and be able to make them more money. What's that going to translate into for you?
Right.
You're going to make more money.
Yeah.
And that's all on their dime. So they're going to pay you to get smarter, and then they're going to pay you more once you're smarter. And that's not a hypothetical or some do, some don't. That is a fact. And every representative we've ever had come in from every dealership or high end garage would say that is absolute reality. There's no doubt about that. And obviously, in anything that you do, the better you are in the more drive you show, the more money you're going to make.
I mean, it's not unrealistic that you may not start at, let's just go with 100 grand,
Right.
but you're not going to be too far removed from it, and you're not going to be too far from actually pulling that in every year with not a lot of years under your belt.
So I will say that the average student that walks out of high school, a good student, we'll say like top 5 or 6 of the class,
Right.
they will probably start in the neighborhood of 50 to 60. And if they progress the way they did through high school, if they're not making 100 grand within their first 5 years, something's not right. And every employer that I've ever had come into school to speak absolutely agrees with that. For a kid out of school, 5 years out of school, that is willing to work hard, $100,000 a year is not out of line at all.
Excuse me. Nick Volpe said, I took 2 associates courses in tech school, automotive and diesel. Tuition was less than 50 grand for both classes.
Yep. Yeah.
Yep.
So my son is going to school for mechanical engineering, and he went to Gateway. He's going to Gateway for the first 2 years. He's starting his second year now. He's also going to Naugatuck Valley to start his engineering classes. And the first 2 years of school are free because it's community college.
Now, is that Brennan?
That's Peter.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Well, wasn't sure which one.
Yeah. And
That's awesome.
And listen, I'll give Brennan is a perfect example of school was not for him. He went to Gateway for their automotive program, but then COVID hit. And just like me, he was not an online learner, and that's when it went to. And not only that, but the program wasn't cheap. Like Nick just said, you're paying 25, 50 grand for a degree, and for it to be switched to online and not getting your hands on stuff, it's not for everyone. Well, he decided he wanted to go get his CDL. So we sent him to school for 5 grand. And he graduated within a couple of months, maybe 6 months, I don't remember. And he instantly started delivering food. He was making 80, 90 grand a year. He was hustling, but 80, 90 grand a year, and the kid was maybe 20. And then he wound up getting a job with DOT. He's been with them for a couple of years. He took a pretty big pay cut hourly, but by the time you're done with your retirement and health insurance and the overtime when it snows and all that stuff, and just like anyone else, you work with the state for 20, 25 years and off you go. And that's for a $5,000 investment for getting your CDL.
Yep. Oh, absolutely.
So
complete squirrel moment. But Mr. Keith Mayers is tuning in and checking us out.
Is he really?
Yes.
Wow.
He's like just becoming a Facebook fanatic now. Did you know that?
We used to have to communicate with him through his wife. Now look at him
smoke
go.
Signals.
Yeah. Hello, Mr. Mayers.
Yeah, I mean, like Elijah, same thing. He was a good student.
Yep.
Wasn't the best, wasn't the worst. He was good. He said, shush.
Yeah.
He did.
Keith?
Yeah. I mean, he was a COVID kid. He was a COVID kid. He was a COVID graduate.
Yep.
Everything went in his senior year.
Yep.
He passed and graduated by the skin of his teeth.
Sure.
But the job he's working at, he works at Dick's Sporting Goods.
Yep.
He loves it there. They love him. He's 21 years old and he makes like 50 grand a year.
Yeah. Yeah. And with no,
With no
uh,
college.
I don't want to say no education, but no education that had to be paid for.
Right. No,
Yeah.
no advanced
Exactly. Yeah.
education,
That's what I'm
however you
looking
want
for.
to put
Thank
it.
you. Yeah. Yep.
Keith just said Keith went from no Facebook to being a Facebook junkie.
Yeah. Yeah. Welcome to our world, Keith.
Absolutely.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Um,
it's all good. I mean, it's you know, one of the things with the school that I teach at is we go 182 days for the year. The kids do,
yeah.
and they spend 91 days in academics and 91 days in shop, and they go back and forth. It's usually it probably averages out to anywhere from an 8 to 10 day cycle, and then they swap back and forth. And when you get a kid that's sliding in academics, one of the things they always ask the shop teachers to talk to them because the shop teachers carry a lot of weight. When you're with the same kids for 5, 6 hours a day, you really build up a relationship with them versus
Right.
the academic teachers. There's, they see 5 or 6 different ones and only for an hour a day, and they're doing something they don't want to be doing. So teacher will call me up and say, "Hey, I'm having a problem with little Jimmy. Could you talk to him?" I'll call little Jimmy in the office and I'm like, "Dude, you don't like academics, do you?" "No, Senka, I can't stand it." I said, "Well, just think when you fail and you get kicked out of this school, you're going to be in academics for 182 days a year, not 91. So get your shit together so that you don't
And just
wind up with 182 days of academics." They're like, "Whoa, I never
the
thought of."
proverbial light
Yeah.
bulb goes off.
Yeah, exactly. And for the most part it works. And it's funny because when the teacher will come down and say, "What did you say to him?" I'm like, "The truth." Right? I just told him, if you don't like academics, how would you like to go from 91 to 182? And the
Yeah.
teacher's like, "My God, that's brilliant. I wish I thought of that." But it's it's fun. We have a lot of fun and the kids learn a lot. So it's good.
I will say one thing as a parent and as somebody who works in a school as well. Obviously, my environment's completely different from your environment,
Yeah.
work environment.
Yeah.
But kids nowadays, they don't want to be BS at. They want you to tell them the truth.
I will
Whether they like it or not,
yeah.
they want to hear it.
I will tell you that it's funny that you say that because when I first started teaching, there was a lot of stuff in the curriculum that I did not know. I knew how brake systems worked, but I didn't know like Pascal's law.
Yeah,
And that's the size of the piston and the fluid surface area and all that stuff. And I started halfway through the year, and I wasn't privy to the curriculum before I started teaching it. And I will tell you that I tried to bullshit my way through some of it, and those little bastards called me right out on it. They knew that I didn't know what the hell I was talking about. And I'll tell you what, it's a dose of reality. And it's like, you know what? I could tell that you weren't going to be able to pull the wool over their eyes. So I'm like, you know what, guys? I've been doing this shit for 40 years and I don't know about this stuff. So we're going to learn it together. And,
yeah,
and as soon as you said that to them, they knew that you were for real. And that's when the relationship starts, right? So you're not the adult that's trying to pull the wool over their eyes. You're the older guy that wants to learn just like they want to.
absolutely.
And that's really what I'll be honest with you. The first couple of months that I taught, I was very close to bailing. Because I started in the middle of the year, I said, I'm going to finish out the year just because I could try it for 6 months to see. And what turned out to be in my working career, one of the best things to ever happen in my life. I almost threw the towel in on it. It was very close.
Yeah,
So yeah, you got to be honest with the kids because man, they can see right through you when you're not.
yeah. I mean, I haven't been at work since December 2nd,
Yep.
and I get texts at least once or twice a week from the people that I work directly with. oh, so and so wants to know where how you doing, where you are, what's going on, you know, and I can't communicate with them directly because it's by
Sure.
their standards, it's not
Right. Right.
appropriate, which I absolutely understand. But yeah, I mean, working in a high end private boarding school, prep school is you're working with a different type of student,
Yep.
but they still want to hear the truth. They don't want you to lie to them. They want
Right.
you to tell them what the freaking score is.
Yep. Yep. Without a doubt.
Nick Volpe said that was the best part of tech school, having teachers that were more workers than teachers. They told us how it is in the real world with exclamation points, and what to expect rather than reading from a textbook 8 hours a day.
Yeah, and I mean, like I just did a thing. I don't want this whole friggin' night to be about me and what I do. I feel like I'm the guest speaker tonight, but um I don't like the second half of the senior curriculum. Hopefully none of my bosses are watching this, but whatever. It's all about the internal workings of an automatic and manual transmission, which I own a garage. All right. If I hire a student that just graduated from a tech school, the last thing I would expect them to know how to do is take apart a transmission and rebuild it. I've been working for 40 years in this field, and I don't even know how to take apart the inside of a transmission and rebuild it. It's a
That's why
special.
you send yours to Accurate.
Yeah, yeah, right. Exactly, exactly. My boy Anthony will take care of it for me. Um, I know what I'm looking for a rookie in this field, and do I want them to feel when a transmission is acting up? Do I want them to be able to pull trouble codes out of it? Drop the pan, inspect what's in the pan, and change a filter? Absolutely. Do
Yep.
I want them to be able to change drive axles? Absolutely. But anything other than that, part of our DSA, which is our automotive final, is they have a cutaway view of a manual transmission, and they show all the gears, and they have numbers on all the gears for the tooth count.
Yep.
And the question is, if the transmission is in second gear, what's the final ratio coming out of the tail shaft? It's like, who needs to know that? Even people that rebuild transmissions don't need to know that. I am not teaching that to my C-Tech technicians that are getting ready to graduate and go out into the field. So what I wind up doing is I give them just enough curriculum so that I won't get in trouble by not teaching the curriculum.
Right.
But then I'll do like my own lesson plans on stuff and a future YouTube video that's going to be coming out. I was going to do it this week, but we have enough content for this one, so I'm going to save it. And it's critical thinking, right? It's before you start a job, instead of diving right into it, step back, kind of analyze the whole situation, and figure out the best plan of attack. I
Right.
used an example when I was a kid. My father pulled a car in. He said the customer said it's got no brake lights. So the first thing I did was dive underneath the dashboard, checking fuses. Then I pull out a test light and I start checking the brake switch and making sure we got power going in, power going out. And then everything's good, and I'm looking at stuff. And my father looked at me and he goes, "Do you ever think maybe you should check the bulbs?"
Yep.
And it's the stuff like that now that I did it, that's always going to be the first thing I check from now on. But
The kiss method.
it's yeah, and
It's so cliche as the kiss method is. It works a hell of a lot
it
of the
does.
time.
It absolutely does. And you want to show the kids like that, because as an employer, if you say to a kid it's got no brake lights, what are you going to look at? And the kid says, well, first thing I'm going to do is check the bulbs, because you never know. As an employer, I'm going to say, nice. All right, kids got some common sense. What does everyone say about kids these days? They don't have common
They're,
sense,
they're dumbasses.
right? They don't have common sense.
Yeah.
So it's not that you could really teach common sense, but you kind of can. And that's what I'm trying to get through to them, and that's what I use this second half of 12th grade for, to
That's
try
awesome.
and try and get them some, for lack of better terms, some street cred, right?
Yeah.
These are the ropes of how you should handle stuff. Don't dive into a wiring schematic that will take you 15 minutes to look up and another hour to figure out where all the wires are to all the brake lights. Let's start at the basics. And
And then when your brain is fried and you can't figure out even how to walk forwards.
right, right.
Yeah.
You go blind from looking at all these little lines on the screen when in reality you didn't have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that's exactly
Okay.
right.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I spend the second half of 12th grade trying to do, and they seem to really like it. So
Cool.
yeah, off we go.
That's awesome. It's good stuff.
Yes, sir. What time is it? How much time do we spend
Oh, we
talking
got
about my
time. We got time.
43 minutes talking about me?
That's all right though. Good.
It's all good.
It's educational.
Yeah, yeah, it's something. It's something. So
It's
did
to
anything go on in the racing world?
work on your public speaking
Yeah,
skills.
yeah. I'll tell you, I feel like I could speak a lot better doing this. You put a camera in front of my face, and oh my God, it's a disaster.
First thing Tanya said, because her and I watched it in the living room.
Yeah.
It took her like all of 3 seconds. I click play. Oh, he's nervous.
Oh God. So it's funny because I videoed the critical thinking thing that I was talking about,
Yeah.
and I was for the most part smooth as silk because I was teaching, which is what I normally do. I was talking to kids, and I forgot that the camera was even there. So
Right.
I didn't do the and oh. So yeah, I didn't do any of that because I knew what I was talking about, and it just came naturally. It's funny because one of the big hits of the video was the blooper reel, and I'm like, well, we're gonna have to screw some stuff up to make more bloopers because that one went pretty smooth.
That didn't take much effort, did it?
Yeah, no, it's pretty smooth. So hopefully, I don't have to do too many intros, and I could just do the video.
No, that was very good. I was very impressed with the whole thing.
Thank you.
Um. All right. So now we digress.
Yes,
Racing season has started.
it has, and I have to say something. I know I'm going to be partial because we run in the same class, but how about Neil Vaccaro knocking down the Super Street win in Orlando? His first Wally in over 50 years of trying. That's what racing is all about, boys and girls. That's what it's all about.
That was very cool. He's been in finals before, if I remember reading that correctly, but it's his first win.
First Wally.
Yep.
Good for him.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's what you want to see.
You have to admire the determination. And Neil is, besides being a friend of mine, he's a customer of mine. And I've done a lot of work for him on his car. And the amount of effort that he puts in, and he's fussy and he's meticulous, and it's just I don't know that I would be able to put in that kind of effort and have that kind of drive and come up winless for 50 years. I think at some point I would say, screw this, throw me a checkerboard. Let's see if I'm any good at that, because
Yeah, I want to go play darts.
this is not getting it done. I don't go to the races to strictly win, and that's going to make or break my weekend. I mean, obviously the people you meet, the relationships you build, working on the stuff, that's all part of the game. But if I went 50 years without being winless, man, I got to tell you, I don't know that I'd make it that long.
Mr. Mares is calling it a night.
Mr. Mares, it's been a pleasure and an honor. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah. And we didn't even have to get his wife to get after him to come on
That's
and
right.
hang out. But yeah, that was definitely awesome.
Yep.
Um, all right, so one of the stock classes got hit hard.
Yep.
So got
Now that wasn't considered, and I don't know a lot about the factoring and all that stuff because it's just I don't run the class, so I don't pay enough attention to it. But that wasn't considered a mine shaft weekend.
there was something I read on another board about mine shaft. I want to make sure I have this correct.
Or
So
Rob is
bear with
watching,
me.
right? I'm sure he would probably know just as good as anybody.
Because there was a thread on another board specifically. Let's see. That's not it. That's not it.
That's on there.
Yeah, let me give me. I'm gonna look on one more page.
Yeah.
All right, right, got it right here. No mine shaft for 2025. The
Oh,
SRAC tried to bring back the mine shaft rule this year, and HRA Rules Committee denied the request. So no mine shaft rule at 100 feet and all runs count. But at plus, well, that's going into something different. And then there was another person that commented that, oh no, that's for horsepower factory. But yeah, that
so no
seems to
mine
be the
shaft.
deal.
So you could race on a weekend that's 300 feet below sea level, and you could wreck the whole category for everyone that competes in it. That doesn't seem logical to me.
Yeah. Now if I'm correct, horsepower is at 1.20, right? Under
I couldn't even begin to tell you. Not a clue.
it's either 1.20 or 1.25 that horsepower comes in.
Yeah.
So that combo got hit for 15 horsepower, or somebody else told me roughly 200 pounds of weight added on.
Wow. That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Now, again, mind you, this is secondhand information that was sent to me.
Sure. Sure.
So I don't know if it's legit or not. I'm going from the person that told me, I'm assuming is correct
Right.
and valid. So yeah, so you had that horsepower hit. You had the gentleman in the Copo that was the first stalker in the
In the
sevens.
sevens. Yeah.
I believe it was a 787 at 174.
Well, not only was he the first one in the sevens, but he got in the sevens. That wasn't a
That way, yeah,
799 with a free.
he didn't just nibble at it. He
He
took a
took a
chomp out
chunk.
of it.
Yeah.
I mean, 787 is I mean, you're what 0.12 from a quarter of a second.
What do you mean 0.12?
Well, for 787, so that's 13. That's what 1300s.
Oh yeah, yeah, 1300s
Yeah,
from yeah, right. That's what I'm
but
saying. He
and
didn't.
I'm just using
Yeah,
the eight
and, and when you're
as
going that fast,
um
it's a lot harder to go from 80 to 787 than it is from 13 to 1287. You know, I mean
yeah.
that's that's a big jump when you're going that fast.
It's like somebody who messaged me earlier today said, "Well, somebody's been spending some money this winter."
Yeah, yeah. Hey, it's the name of the game. Go fast, right?
Yep. But it was, I mean, it was cool to see the stalker get into the sevens.
Yep.
And for those that run that combo, they got whacked for 15 horsepower. That's gonna suck. A lot of people are saying that that's gonna hurt. Excuse me. A lot of people.
Yeah.
So, what else we have? In testing, we had the Bartone brothers
Yep.
spin the world in their nitro injected funny car.
Yep. That
I don't
thing
remember.
flew. Poof,
Uh,
that was fast.
was it five
28?
528, 520 something?
Yeah, it was in the
It
20s. Might have been a
was in the
24.
20s. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that's I'm sure that got the attention of everyone else running funny car.
And reportedly, that is the setup is a legal setup. It wasn't just something they put the screws to it to see
Sure.
what they could wring out of it. So let me just check and see.
They're reporting, I shouldn't say this because I don't want to jinx anything, but they're reporting good weather outlook for this coming weekend at the babies.
And they were going to start parking today, but they decided to wait until tomorrow. It's supposed to start at I think 7:30 tomorrow morning.
They got some rain today. Yeah, they got some rain either yesterday or today. So because the future forecast is looking pretty good, they probably wanted things to dry out a little more before they started parking on it, would be my guess.
Right. I know brother Bob Bender is down there.
Yes, he is. Yep.
He's going on his world tour.
Yep. Richie Prizer was getting on a plane at about 3 o'clock today. He was texting me from the airport.
Nice. Yeah, because him and his daughter and Olga were down there. They ran at Orlando.
Orlando, correct.
Yeah. So he had the stalker and the super stalker out
You
there, his
got it.
daughter.
Yep.
Yep. What's the latest and greatest on his pump dragster?
The latest news is that the engine is ready, and he's going to debut at Maple Grove.
Oh, nice.
So that
Very
should be
cool.
cool.
That should be cool. And then you have the World Series of Pro Mod.
Yep. Is that this weekend?
I think it's this coming
I
weekend
think it's this coming weekend at Bradenton,
at Bradenton, yeah.
which I
And
love.
then I know that you have mentioned that Cletus McFarland bought 50% stake in Bradenton.
Correct. Yep.
So, did you get a chance to see his interview after the
Oh
after
my
the ARCA
God.
race?
That dude is just I
That's
don't want
Ricky
to
Bobby.
I
He
don't want to
is so
say I
Ricky
have a
Bobby.
man crush on someone, but I gotta tell you, that dude is just solid gold in the automotive and entertainment world. He is so freaking funny.
Yeah,
And what makes it funny is he's very educated.
yeah.
He's got a couple of degrees. I believe he's got a law degree, or he stopped pursuing the law degree, but he already had a degree before, a civil engineering degree or something. But the dude's pretty smart. And when he had that issue at the ARCA race where the same girl took him out twice, his fan base started ruining her to the point where she had to get off social media because her mental health was at stake. They were absolutely destroying her. And
Wow.
if you watch the interview where he came on, I shouldn't say the interview, but the post that he came on and said, listen, guys, mostly all of us are rookies in the ARCA series, and it could just as easily be me wrecking someone and ending their day. So please, be respectful. She didn't do it on purpose. We
Cut
talked.
her a break.
Right. But if you
Yeah.
listen to him talk when he's serious versus when they ram the microphone in his face and that shtick that he does, where I was flying around the track like a bald eagle and he's got the southern draw and oh my God, it's so friggin' funny because like his shtick comes so naturally to him that it was just I zigged when I should have zagged, and it turns out I should have zagged, but I zigged. He was just going out. It's because I ripped my sleeves
I
off.
watched that interview and I was just like,
It was so funny.
the first thing that pops into my head is I'm watching Ricky Bobby.
Oh, it was so funny. If you're a fan of David Freiberger's, which he does the Hot Rod Power Tour and
Okay, yeah.
Hot Rod Garage and stuff like that, and he's all these guys because Discovery shit canned all the shows. All these guys are taking a really big social media presence and a YouTube presence, and you could still follow them. And if you follow Freiberger, you got to see the comments that he makes about Cletus. I mean, just he's the future of anything automotive right now. I mean, he's got so many subscribers, so many followers. I think that he could put up a video of mowing his lawn and he'd get 1 million views. It's just insane the amount of stuff that this dude is doing, and probably one of the most humble people you'll ever meet.
He was in, I know you probably don't watch it, but the last Gymkhana video with Travis Pastrana.
Yep.
And the family huckster.
Yep.
So
yeah, he holds races, the Crown Vic races, and Travis Pastrana frequents those races. He's in a lot of them. So yeah, they're pretty. I don't know how tight they are, but they work with each other quite a bit.
Tight enough, yeah. Yeah, he had that. They raced in part of the last Gymkhana video. They drag race.
Yep.
Pastrana and the family huckster, and him and the twin turbo El Camino.
Right. The mullet.
The mullet.
The mullet.
Yeah.
That's what he calls it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yep.
All right. So like I said, we have the World Series of Pro Mod this weekend.
Yep.
We have the Baby Gators this weekend. And then is it a week or 2 weeks after that is the Gator Nationals?
No, usually the Baby Gators and then the national event are back to back.
Okay, that's what I thought, but I wasn't 100% sure. I honestly haven't looked at the schedule.
Yeah, and they're usually they dance with each other as far as Daytona goes. I want to say when they started the season off in Pomona, I felt like it was a week or two before the 500. But now that it's in Florida, it's a week or two after that they start. My memory is not what it used to be for stuff like that. But they're usually within a couple of weeks of Daytona, one way or the other.
Gotcha.
So,
all right.
And then some Street Outlaw stuff. It looks like they picked up a new sponsor. I think it's Speed Connection, which I believe is Speed Vision. And they just announced their summer tour, which a lot of people speculated that it wasn't going to happen. And within the last couple of days, they released the tour and it's going to happen. So it looks like someone else picked them up, and hopefully we'll get some decent coverage out of it and be able to see that also.
And I know they are coming back to Epping.
They are coming back to Epping.
Yep. So, because I saw it the other day. I grabbed a quick look at the schedule. So see,
I will tell you that out of all the races that I've been to, national events and divisionals and bracket racing and whatever, big bracket races, my family and I had an absolute ball at the MPK race. It was the way it was structured, set up, access to all the people, the type of racing. We had a friggin' blast at that race. It was a lot of fun. So I'm glad that it's coming back because it's a fun event to watch. I went 2 years ago. I didn't go last year because I think it was a little earlier and I was still in school. And it was like total while the event was going on and I was sitting home over the weekend. I'm like, oh my God, I wish I went. So I'm definitely going to go back this year because it really was a great time.
And you got to meet Reaper.
Yeah. When he couldn't, when his struts broke. Yep.
Cool. All right. So I think that pretty much covers everything we wanted to hit on.
Excellent.
And we did it. Told you.
Painless.
Yeah. So wanted to Bob Bender says hello from Gainesville.
Mr. Bender, welcome to Gainesville.
Mr. Bender. You know what we should do maybe next week if it works out, like let's have Bob call in. I'll put him on my phone. Put my phone on speaker.
I
And
would love to have Bob on the show.
give uh give us an update on how things are going down in the Sunshine State.
Yep. I assume he's going to stay down there for the Gators too.
Yeah, he's doing the baby Gators,
Yep.
the Gators, and then he's going over to No Problem, going to Phoenix,
Yep.
going to the World Finals,
Wow.
and well, the to Pomona. I mean, whatever.
Good for him.
Same difference.
Wow.
And there's something else I can't remember. I feel like I'm forgetting one. But yeah, he's going on a world tour this year.
Good
He
for him.
may be making the trip up to Lebanon and or New England as well.
Excellent.
So yeah, so it'll be good to see him. Haven't seen him in a few years.
Good stuff. Good
Yep.
for him.
So how's real quick before we get out of here then? How's
Yep.
your hot ride coming along?
It's decent. It's all starting to go back together now. Got the front frame painted. It's you want to talk about one thing leading to another. It was like all I wanted to do was put new struts on the front of the car. And then the struts that I had, which are a really good quality set of struts, body length was a little smaller. So I had to redesign the upper strut mount. And one thing led to another where we're cutting, we're grinding. I don't need this tab. I need that tab. And the frame was scratched up from doing this tab. And so it led to taking everything off the front. I probably should have taken the engine out, but that's the only thing I didn't take out. Headers off, wiring, brake lines now with my new TBM brakes. Well, I might as well put all new brake lines on the car. It morphed into stupidity, but it's on the downhill going back together, so we're getting there.
Right, and you're able to get the body shop at your school involved with that too. So
that's correct. Yep.
So he said yes, he will call. We'll do that next Tuesday.
Awesome.
And he said Vegas as well. I thought I said Vegas, maybe I didn't.
Yep.
But yeah, so that's his world tour. Like I said, he may be heading up our way. Just depends on how things go.
If he comes up to Epping or Lebanon, I'll have a cold beer for him.
Oh, he'll take that. That'll get him up here. So all right. So listen, Friday night, I'm gonna be doing an interview with Eric Corey. Him and a bunch of his friends started a new business doing carbon fiber work, 3D printing. Gonna learn all about what they got going on.
Yep.
Eric is a Division I super street racer and races at New England Dragway as well. He drives his mom's well, not old, but his mom's blue Chevy Stepside. Now, a note on that car, if you know what it is, which one it is.
Yeah.
My voice is starting to go.
Yeah.
Sorry. So it's a home built rig. His dad and friends built that.
Yep.
So they did all the work on that, and it's kind of been a generational thing. So it's pretty cool. I'm looking forward to talking to Eric and his friends on Friday night. So we will be back next Tuesday at 7:00, and we'll be talking with Brother Bob.
Excellent.
So he said yes, sir, on the beer.
Deal.
All right.
Yeah, I'll even let him tell me what kind he likes to drink, and I'll get it for him.
There you go.
And am I right in saying, do you put all the episodes on YouTube?
You are correct.
Good. All right. So let's give us a like and subscribe on YouTube for RNN. And let's give a like and subscribe for Pete's Auto Experience. If you need the link, go on my page. It's right there. It's Auto Experience.
And he did a killer job. He's going to be a YouTube celebrity in just a matter of weeks.
I will tell you, I didn't do anything. The opening intro, all the digital, all the signs, all the editing, it's all the students. All I did, the worst part of that video is what I was actually involved in was me speaking. Yeah, exactly. Everything else was the kids. So
that's cool. That's awesome. question just out of curiosity.
Yep.
Did you have to like let the parents know that you were doing this to like get permission or anything?
So when the kids come to school, if they don't want to be on any form of social media or have their picture taken, they have to sign something saying
No,
exclude me.
thank you.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I can't just film a kid and throw them online, which is why whatever I do with students goes to our social media person at school. They will then
Sign off on it.
screen it, make sure that it's good, throw it on CTEC's social media stuff.
Right.
Once that's done, then I can link it into mine and off I go. So
Gotcha. All
that's
right.
how we made it so that it's appropriate and no one has to worry.
That's awesome. Now we just got to figure out a way to get your classes to the racetrack.
Yeah.
But the racing season starting up here doesn't always jive with school schedules
Well, I mean,
either.
if we wanted to do a weekend or a day at Lebanon Valley, it's not an issue, right? Because it's the weekend.
Right.
I mean, to go to a divisional and go on a Thursday night, that would be a little tough. But
Right.
yeah, I mean, listen, the kids don't know what a divisional is or what a weekend event is. They would have just as much fun going up on a Saturday morning and going home on a Saturday night and seeing all the race cars. It wouldn't matter to them, so they'd be all about it.
That's cool. That is very cool. I mean, speaking from experience from doing the Cars for Kids stuff that we did
Yep,
a number, few years ago, they're the future of the sport.
without a doubt.
You
Yep,
and get them out there, show them what it's all about. You won't ever have to worry about it getting in trouble or doing something stupid because they'll be
that's
too
right.
broke to do it.
I was going to say, unfortunately, they won't be able to invest in their future because they'll be broke. But either
Yeah,
way,
and I'm sure even your son is seeing that with his money.
yeah, yeah, we're there's no shortage of spending money on that. That's for sure.
Now, what if Brennan's going to run again this year? I assume.
He is.
Now, is he going to run points or is he going to
So
be selected?
I don't know what his game plan is for that. I would like to push him into running points in pro. But he has been made aware that your success in open trophy does not necessarily mean it's going to translate into success in points in pro.
Right.
He did run a couple of races this year, the big bracket races where he threw a beating on a couple of people pretty good that are big names, and then he got beat up on a little bit. But yeah, he's probably going to. He wants to go every weekend. I mean, he's like talking now about how he can't take not going, and he's really looking forward to it. Wants no part of the motorhome. Does not want to be anywhere near me. He wants to go park over in the grass, set up his tent with his cooler and his buddy, and that's what he wants to do. His own handheld weather station, his own little generator. He just wants to be totally independent because if there's a week or two where I can't go, he still wants to be able to go and do his thing. So as long as he's going and having fun, that's all I care about.
That is very cool. So same deal. You get him into that. You don't have to worry about doing anything dumb because you won't
Nope.
have the money.
Nope, that's for sure. Won't do drugs, won't gamble, none of that because you won't have any money left.
It'd be a pisser when you sit here and you say that, success doesn't always translate.
Yep.
Success in one doesn't always translate to the other. What if he walked away in August with the big check?
God bless him.
Yeah.
As long
That's
as he
what you-
doesn't get a big check before I get a big check, that's all I care about.
Yeah.
Because I'll
That's
never
that's
hear
when
the
you
end
walk over and go.
I'll never hear the end of it.
That's when you walk over and go. Remember that time I bought you all those parts?
That's right.
Yeah.
I'll start unbolting them now.
Right here, buddy.
Yep. Yeah,
Very
it's all
cool.
good.
That's awesome. Well, listen, everybody that's running in Florida this weekend, this upcoming weekend, best of luck. They said we will be back Tuesday night. We'll have Brother Bob on with us. and give us a lowdown on what's going on in Florida. And got a lot of cool stuff planned, working on a lot of cool things, and we'll see what the year brings.
Excellent.
All right, my friend.
Have a good night, and don't forget, like, share, and subscribe. I never thought I would.
Pete's Auto
I never
Experience.
thought I'd say that before. Like, share, and subscribe.
And we have a YouTube channel too for this.
That's right. That's
So
right.
look up Races News Network on YouTube. You'll get to see our pretty faces every
Let's
day. All
go.
the time.
Let's get YouTube famous.
Yeah, 'cause he's already caught it. He's already catching up to me on subscribers, and I've been doing it for like 5 years.
How many does RNN have?
Oh God, it's like 136.
Oh, okay. We're on your tail.
Yeah, you're
We're
you're
on your
knocking on the
tail.
door.
My goal for the first video is 500 views and 150 subscribes.
Nice.
I'm not getting there. I might get to 500 views. I'm not getting to 150 subscribers, but
Now that you
yeah.
said that, though,
yeah, maybe the 3 people watching tonight will subscribe. We'll get there.
three tonight, 3 tomorrow.
Hey,
4
it
the
all
next
adds
day.
up, right?
All right, gang.
All
We're
right,
out of
brother.
here. We will be back next Tuesday night with Bob Bender. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, checking us out live. Have a great evening. If you're in Florida, have a good time. Pete, take care. We'll talk to you later.
You got it, buddy. Have a good night.
All right, you as well.
Take care, guys.